So welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. Today, we are joined by Terry from Chatmetrics. So really excited to have you here today, Terry. Thank you very much. Why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about Chatmetrics and who you guys serve?
Sure. Thanks, Jordan. Good to be here today. Chatmetrics is a staff live chat service, effectively engaging with your website visitors to turn them from anonymous browsers into qualified buyers. We serve currently predominantly B2B tech companies, but we've also got a pretty broad customer base that includes across the insurance sector, finance sector, insurance companies and brokers and the like, education and industrial products, roofing, walling, flooring, those types of businesses, predominantly where they're at two levels. They're dealing with a dealer network as well as direct to customer inquiries, which we capture for them and pass on to their dealer network.
Uh-huh. And where did the insight come from that to use like chat with real human beings on the page?
Founder story, I guess, comes back to where we started back in 2015. This guy built a website for my wife in 2012 when we moved to Melbourne. She just set up her business, which was a skin and laser clinic. And we noticed about 6 months in that there was this thing popped up on the website back in 2012. I thought we were hacked. I thought, what's this going on here? So I jumped on and said, who are you on this? I'm ex-corporate, so I was a bit, I hadn't approved that. So I wanted, a bit of a control freak. Anyway, no, we're just here, your support person. We'll help you book more meetings. And my wife's business went from booking 2 or 3 meetings a week to booking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 meeting, appointments a day for her skin and laser clinic. And I thought, this is good, but it's probably ramping up the advertising and SEO and everything. About 6 months in, it disappeared for a couple of days and the appointments just dropped off. Uh-huh. And I gave him a call and said, look, what's going on? He said, just fixing a few things. Put it back on. The appointments came back again almost straight away. And I'm like, okay, there's something in this. So long story short, I was in line to leave my corporate career at that point in time. We got to know each other over the next couple of years and decided to push on with Chatmetrics as a staffed live chat service. There was live chat at the time. It was just sort of breaking through at that point in time. But live chat's an amazing tool and delivers sensational results. The challenge is staffing. And we can get on and talk further with today and what's happening with AI. But the people side of things was where the gap was in live chat software.
Yeah. That was my next question. So how are you managing with AI now coming in and everyone's saying that AI is going to be able to do all of these things? I don't think it's definitely not there yet, but how are you navigating that?
Take a step back. Before AI, there were chatbots, which, had a program talk path through, which was the software providers, the live chat software providers' second best option. If you can't staff it, then have a chatbot in there. But the reality is most chatbots have a way, way lower conversion rate than having real humans in there. And so fast forward now, you've got AI. And look, obviously, we've been playing around with AI for nearly 2 years now in terms of, where can it help us in our business? And I think there'll be a time moving forward where there'll be AI available that works very, very well in terms of communicating with clients for customer support and so forth. My belief is that as much as AI comes through in the tsunami that it's coming through at the moment, there's also almost as much demand for the human connection as well. And we're seeing, our inbound inquiries are phenomenal at the moment. We've got people that saying, look, I don't want a chatbot. I don't want AI. I want a person to be managing the first experience that my high value prospects and qualified buyers are getting on my website, because really that is the first experience of the brand. There's no chat and it's just the website. That's the experience they get. But if you're going to have some sort of interaction, which will boost your conversions, then, ideally you want to have people. Look, there's places for AI and there's places for chatbots. Personally, you can build a chatbot, put a Cisco router manual into the chatbot and have an engineer, use keywords all day long, and it'll help an engineer at the other end that's highly technical. At the other end, the super low value e-commerce stores, you're selling $2.50 cups or, $15, $30 t-shirts. You're not going to have a person sitting in that. Although I will say e-commerce has got, there's 5 or 6 years ahead in terms of live chat sophistication and the way they do it compared to B2B. B2B are hopeless with live chat generally. Yeah. They take a shitty shortcut, put a shitty chatbot on there and think that that's going to solve their problem. And it does more harm than good. So for instance,
Right.
one client last year we went on board with had a chatbot at the beginning that just simply said, would you like to speak with support or speak with sales? People click the sales button. The chatbot says, oh, that's great. Just give me your email address in case we get disconnected. And we knew they were getting the traffic. We could see the traffic, but we weren't getting the conversations. I said, look, have a look at the drop-off when you've got that point there where it's asking for an email address. 96% of people that said they wanted to speak to sales, when we asked for an email address, dropped out of the conversation. You like literally, this is an $80,000 deal size for this company. So when they saw that and said, okay, well, let's take it off. But it means you're going to get flooded with conversations. And well, that's what we do. That's why we only charge you for the qualified leads that we deliver, because we know that we've got to have all of those conversations in between. And that 96% flowed through into conversations with us. And we increased the lead gen from their inbound by 21 times. 21 times their qualified buyers went up. Yeah. So the 96 people out of every 100 that were dropping off out of that email, they wanted to speak to sales. They just didn't want to hand any contact details over before they did.
Yeah, it's fascinating when you hear about these small little roadblocks in the funnel that you wouldn't think are big levers that you can pull. Alex Hormozi famously talks about getting people to actually show up to the sales call will just like instantly fix your conversions just by getting people to show up. Forget about doing anything else. And so just removing the friction to speak to a real person to answer a question feels like a small roadblock, but when you break it down like that, it makes so much sense.
I know we didn't remove the question. We removed the request for an email.
Right. Yeah.
So it was the extra field where they were asking for their email address. That was the difference. So they still said, I want to talk to sales or support. That question was still there, but the second one wasn't asking for an email. So it's like, but look, Alex is right. Think about this. What experience would you want as a buyer if you're going to be committing to, some 50, 80K a year software program, or, you're looking to buy a shed for your home or whatever the case may be, where you go to a website, you see some information, looks like the place that you want to go. They're one of several vendors that you're considering, and you'll probably get a quote from. You fill in the form. At the end of filling the form in, you get an email say, thanks, we'll be in touch as soon as we can. You go back about your business. You don't hear from them for another hour. That night, you don't hear from them. The next day, you're busy doing things. You're in meetings. Your phone's gone off a couple of times. You're getting emails. By the time you get back to things that afternoon, like a day and a half is gone. You think, look, it's all just too hard for me at the moment. I'll let it sit. So you've got an SDR in that business that's been calling and emailing and trying to get back in touch with you from that form fill. Well, if you've got live chat on a website, the experience is that person comes to your website, has a conversation, firstly asks their questions that they've got to make sure that they are a bona fide option in terms of their vendor selection process. In the live chat, then we'll go through and ask them some qualifying questions and see if they could potentially be a good fit for that client that we're operating for. If they are, there's a natural segue. Usually it is, look, let's book you in for a meeting. Forget about a form fill. Let's just actually book you in for a meeting with the salesperson. And then we'll book that person in for a meeting with the salesperson in their calendar. And so all of a sudden you've got this SDR effort on the ground that was trying to contact back, and a bad experience for the person that filled the form in because they're not getting a quick response. They're getting distracted through the course of their day. The conversion is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You take out all that friction of the form fill and then the SDR process, and it's interesting. You're a marketer. I wouldn't have thought that asking somebody for an email address it's not a small thing. You're actually asking somebody for an email address. That's the one thing they don't want to hand over because they're thinking about they're going to get spammed or all the rest of the stuff that's going to go on. They got enough in their inbox as it is.
Well, there was a study that talked about an email address to somebody. The perceived value of that email address is about $15. So unless you're offering something worth $15 of value for that email address, you'll often find that people are not willing to give it over. I've been in this situation multiple times, and I'm sure the people that are listening have been in that situation where you've come ready to buy, or you've got buying intent, and you land on a page and you want to just ask a simple question. I've been hit with these, give me your phone number, give me your email address. I'm like, I just want a simple answer to this simple question. Forget about it. I'll go somewhere else. Yeah.
You know why it happens? It happens for two reasons. Firstly, vendors, the live chat software vendors will say, and you can read David Cancel's book, Conversational Marketing, the 2 days, Dave Cancel and Dave Gerhardt that built Drift. If you read their book, they'll tell you it's always best to have your own staff people sitting in there. So it's a real live person that they're talking to. And I'll tell you, it's always best to have your own staff. The second best is to have a staff member, whether you're outsourcing it or and that's why we've got a business. Then they say that the next best option is to have a chatbot there, and let the chatbot qualify, because if your team's too busy to engage with all of those website visitors that want to chat, then you should qualify them out. The problem is that often organisations, or particularly what we see across the B2B world or landscape, is that they'll use that as the first option. Oh, I want live chat, and a chatbot will fix it for me, and that'll increase the conversion rate.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that the BDRs or SDRs are all outbound focused, so they're busy 100% of their time. There's always something for them to do. They never have spare time to say, I'll be sitting in the live chat. They'll get a few chats come through potentially that are low quality. They don't want to get involved in the chat. So they'll put more and more questions into the form fill or the chatbot questions in an effort to try and weed out those people that aren't going to meet their ICP. So you end up with these. I mean, I had one yesterday. We're actually looking for some software at the moment. There were 6 questions that the chatbot wanted me to answer before it would put me through to an agent. And then it said, sorry, nobody's available. Here's a calendar link, book a meeting. So at least that was a book a meeting instead of saying, hey, we'll get somebody to get back in touch with you. So I was able to book a meeting. But the process of asking all of those questions, I can tell you from our experience, is that people will just drop qualified buyers, people that are in your ideal client profile and want to buy your product, that very, very valid and potential leads for you, will just drop out and go to competitors when they have that much friction in the process. So.
Yeah, I believe it for sure. Okay, so Terry, what do you think have been the biggest challenges that you've faced over the last 12 months building Chatmetrics?
12 months?
Yeah.
The last 12 months, biggest challenge?
Or since inception, if that's more appropriate.
Well, it's a decade we've been going for. So, since inception, it's the human side of things. I mean, it's the human side. I'm thinking about the last 12 months. We had to let a staff member go last week, and I actually wrote a LinkedIn post about it and said I slept like a baby. The reason is because we've built a framework. I mean, over my career, I've built a framework and know which path to take. Do we take a path of second chances, coaching, development, and so forth, or do we take the path of disciplinary action? With that particular person, the disciplinary action was the right path. I never second guess, whether we've taken the right path with staff like that. But I think it's been the human side of things. That's the biggest challenge all the way through, whether it's recruitment, we don't have a problem with retention. The recruitment, development, that's where virtually all of the IP in the business sits, is our recruitment process, our training processes, the QA and continuous improvement processes that we've got to make sure there's a quality at the other side. When you have a business that you've been running for 10 years that has no lock-in contracts, charges only for the qualified leads that you deliver, you've got to make sure that everything, that's high risk. So you've got to make sure that what you're doing is virtually, I hate the word best practice, but you've just got to be on the money for every customer that you're working for, and every customer is different. So yeah, I think the people side of it's probably been the biggest challenge, but that's what we do. First and foremost, we're in the people business.
Right. Well, I mean, when you break it down, almost every business, I guess, is in the people business or the problem-solving business. Do you find that you maybe started thinking that you were going to be in the lead generation business, and then you realized that you were in the people business or in the staffing business or the training business?
No, we've always been very clear on what it is that we do, and we knew it was a people play. And look, I mean, if you want to talk about it, we're effectively, in its purest form, an outsourcing business. That's what it is. We outsource staffing for live chat. The reality is we provide the live chat software, we provide the live chat staff. It's all fully managed. So in essence, what you're buying is a team of online salespeople to sit in your business. And the product of our product, when you talk about what's the outcome, it's revenue. So actually, we deliver revenue opportunity, fully qualified revenue opportunities. Come of what we do is effectively, it boosts the revenue that you get from your ad spend. The other bits that go with that, we improve your return on advertising spend. We improve your close rates because the deals are more qualified. The deal sizes with live chat generally are considerably higher than otherwise would be as well.
Makes sense. Got it. And so looking forwards then, Terry, like what are some big priorities over the next 12 months or big goals that you guys have?
Look, I mean, we've got some internal targets that we're looking to hit, and that's really probably about getting more involved and switching out. We've been cold outbound. That's our process from the beginning. I built the business cold calling effectively. In 2020, we started doing a bit of email. And that's been very, very effective. It's been really interesting to watch how the whole scene has changed. You hear all the cries about, cold calling's dead, and then email's dead, and email's too hard, it's too technical, etc. We don't do spammy type stuff. We're not emailing 10,000 people at a time. It's very relevant and personalized. So we get pretty good strike rate on the outbound that we do. But we're shifting more to a marketing approach, doing a bit more to try and generate a bit of inbound. So thus, our podcast we kicked off last year, thus things like we're a lot more active in the socials. I kicked off in LinkedIn again in November. It's been a pretty good source of leads for us since November, and they're getting involved in a few marketplaces, that sort of thing. So it's a bit of a different taste to and look, for a whole host of reasons, we really didn't do any outbound for probably the last 12 or 18 months. I mean, when clients join us, they stay because we deliver. When you don't have locking contracts, you're pretty high focused on delivering value. So the clients get under promise and over deliver. So the clients get a pretty good deal on the other side of it. So we don't have too much churn. So I'm not forced into that continually looking for new clients. But with this year, we've got to focus. I mean, in terms of outcomes, we've got to focus a growth target this year. And so combination of the outbound and the shift to marketing, and that'll give us the growth targets that we're looking for.
Yeah, I find that that's really powerful when you combine organic content with outbound, because people don't just receive a cold call or a cold email and go, okay, let me buy from you. They need to build trust, and they need to understand that you're a real human being as well. And often they'll Google you. Almost every time they'll Google you. And I had so many conversations with people that said, I'm only on this call because I Googled you and you looked genuine and authentic and you didn't look like a scammer. And so that's why we're talking. And, you build a relationship from there. But yeah, that's a fantastic approach.
And it's one of the things, look, we're sort of mid-market, 50 to 200 employees. That's our target audience, our ideal client profile. But I've had a lot of inquiries over the last probably 24 months from much smaller businesses. The reality is when you're starting afresh, whether you've got an advertising budget or whether you're doing outbound, like you said, people will Google, they'll check, they'll go to your website and have a look. So, we have got this catch cry, outbound generates inbound. Every time we do an outbound campaign, we watch the traffic on our website spike. It's just a reality when you're reaching out to people that are your potential audience and your potential clients. If there's any level of interest, they will go and check you out. If there's no interest, they're not going to go. And what we find is that on those websites where it's been an outbound play and it's very low traffic, but you see the little spikes when they do the outbound, the conversion rate on those low traffic websites is quite high. So we've built a new offer, which has allowed us, with what we do and the way we set it up for the mid-market guys, we're virtually fully ramped when we start as an SDR on their website. It's not like a 6-month onboarding process. We've got a very intensive sort of 10-day program that we have to do on our side to get our team up to spec. And they're virtually hitting the decks, I'd say probably 80% ramped. And then it's not months, it's number of chats, and generally somewhere between 20 to 100 chats, depending on the complexity of the product. And we're 100% ramped. It's like from our client's perspective, it's set and forget. We've launched it. Well, we haven't launched. We've built a new service offer for the small businesses and SMBs, whereby they don't lift a finger for anything. We don't give them an opportunity to get involved in any of that onboarding process to start with. They put the snippet of code on. We virtually go live on their website and turn their website into a person. And we use the information that's on the website and we push to the CTAs on the website. And we do that at a fixed rate per month. And it allows the smaller businesses to enjoy that, have that same sort of service and not have to worry about mucking around with bots or AI and that sort of stuff as well. So, we haven't launched that yet. I've spoken to about 10 people about it. We've had 6 signups already. And so we've got a few little teething things that we need to do. And the biggest challenge is we're over-delivering and undercharging. So we've got to work out what we're doing as far as that end is concerned. That I think when we launch that, and actually it'll be a different approach. It'll be much more of a SaaS PLG type sign up. You're talking about website visitors of under 1,000 visitors a month. They're not going to have many conversations, so it's quite affordable for the startup guys. And the benefits they get are 1 or 2 leads to them means so much more than 100 leads to, a mid-market organization. 1 or 2 leads to a startup can be a huge difference. But it's not just the leads, it's the conversations where the website visitors are asking particular questions about, do you have this service, or do you have that feature, or can you do this, or, will it integrate with that, where, these guys are getting feedback now from their potential customers on the fly quite rapidly and quite at an early stage where they wouldn't necessarily have that in the past. So.
Right. I imagine that's pretty revolutionary, especially for a startup, getting that feedback. So then finally, Terry, like if you had a magic wand that you could wave over one big problem and solve it like that, what would that big problem be right now?
In our business?
Yeah.
I probably would have built a live chat software when we started right back in the beginning and have our own software to use as well. At the moment, we're sitting in other softwares, and we've tried about 27 softwares, and there's, having done live chat for as long as we have, we know what works, we know what's important and what's not important, and virtually every software that's available is way, way too overcomplicated. There's so many features, unnecessary features that just slow the whole thing down and make it hard to use. So yeah, that's if I had a magic wand, I would have built a software from the beginning, but we didn't. So that's where we're at.
Love it. Well, I was checking out chat metrics, and the more I speak to you, the more bullish I am on it. And I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, if I've got clients, in the B2B SaaS space that would be perfect for this, or even friends who run coaching things, higher ticket stuff, and it just makes so much sense. So I encourage everybody to check it out. If people want to connect with you, or they want to check out chat metrics, like where can they go and how can they connect?
Chatmetrics.com, that's the website. You can get there. You can chat with us there if you want to test the service out, obviously. If you go to the blog page and sign up for the blog, you'll get some crazy emails from me. I do all sorts of stuff, whether it's I'm a bit of a straight shooter and call a spade a spade. So if you jump in there, you'll find every now and again you'll get an email from me. I'm talking about there might be some ad fraud, how much people are losing in ad fraud, or what Google's doing in terms of ripping everybody off and pushing advertising prices off with less floor space on the homepage. Or LinkedIn. I'm in LinkedIn, Terry Wilson. You can find me on LinkedIn. Happy to.
Well, I encourage everybody to head to chatmetrics.com and check it out for yourself. It sounds like a no-brainer if you have an offer like this. But other than that, thank you very much for your time and your insights, Terry, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Thanks, Jordan. Been great.